Good morning. All right, so I've come with an issue with my phone not wanting to have enough space. So I thought I could just do live this morning so that I can actually get on. But what I'm going to do today is I am going to do the butterfly while I talk to y'all. So in real time, you'll get to see the progress. Oh, my needle just fell out. So good morning. If anybody's watching, good morning. Doesn't look like anybody's on yet, and that's okay. I'm just going to get right into it. If anybody wants to go back and start from the beginning, that's fine. All right, I'll show you what I did. Now this is going to be tricky because I can't put a hoop on this. I just have to stitch underneath this. So I'm doing the butterfly, and I showed y'all the picture yesterday. I'm just going to do the butterfly. I'm not going to do any extra because I think the butterfly is going to be big enough to cover the middle part. This is anyway. So I prepped. I went ahead and I got all of my threads ready and needled so that I can, or needles threaded. I said that backwards. So I'm going to start with the very center. Now I have to look at it and see where the center is. I would guess that little brown spot in the middle there is. So that is number 839, which is the color I just picked up. So I'm going to start by doing one stitch in the very center of that. And I'll show progress as I go. Someday, maybe, I'll be rich enough and famous enough that I could actually get a camera above me showing my work. I would love to do that someday, but I'm not to that point yet. So it is what it is. So this is going to be the tricky part, getting this under here. And it's stiff enough. It's just that it's challenging. And I've already made a mistake. I've already got tangled. I gotta cut this. It got the threads caught and knotted before I could even make the first stitch. That's a great first sign. So, I'll show y'all the one I finished. I finished the one from yesterday. So I'll show y'all that now. I've got it right here. Complete. Isn't it just adorable? I just love it. I posted it on Facebook and somebody said, "Oh, that looks like a Hummel design." And I was like, "It is a Hummel." When I was a kid, my mom had, I don't know if they were actual Hummel figurines, but she had a few that I think were Hummel. And I just thought they were the most adorable little things. I'm going to have to go with this from the front. I might have to stitch this upside down, basically. I really do think I'm going to have to do that because I don't know how else I'm going to work with it because I have to put my hands inside it, so I'll be doing it upside down. But that's the only way I can see myself being able to do this because this is a challenging one. But it's worth it. My daughter, it's for my 14-year-old daughter. She loves butterflies. So does my mother-in-law. So, yeah, I'm going to turn the book upside down and just work opposite. I can do that. I can be flexible that way. Anyway, hope y'all are all doing really well today. I am home from church today, which I have no makeup because I decided to go makeup free today. I've been breaking out and I figured it might be better to just wash my face, put a little moisturizer, and let it be free today. So here in a little bit, I've got to go make an enchilada casserole for church, and I'll bring it up there. I've got 2 boys home sick today. My youngest son, who's 4, ended up falling asleep about 7:30 last night, and he slept from 7:30 till about 8:30, and then my daughter went in there to see if he had fever because we didn't even know he'd gone to bed. It's like all of a sudden he was missing, and she came back in with him. She said, "No, he doesn't have fever, but he woke up and he's hungry." So I went to feed him supper, and he was so tired he couldn't even eat. Like he couldn't even feed himself. I ended up feeding him, spoon feeding him with him in my lap, which I haven't done that in years. And then I had made peach cobbler, so I gave him a bite of that. He ended up eating just the ice cream on it. He fed himself that. This morning he doesn't remember eating. He has no memory of any of that. I was like, you don't remember eating? No. You don't remember getting up? No. And then sometime in the middle of the night, he came in and got in my bed, and he curled up next to me, went back to sleep for a little bit, and then woke us up and told us he wanted to go back to his bed, which my husband carried him back in there, and he went back to sleep till I went in there and woke him up this morning. So he's hoarse and said his throat feels weird, which I'm pretty sure it's strep, because that's what my older son had. So they're in there together playing a video game for just a little bit, and I am gonna stitch for a little bit. But I was gonna tell y'all what I did with my chicken pot pie yesterday. I did something different. Instead of chicken pot pie, I did it with a cornbread base, or cornbread crust, because I had time. So, not I had time. I don't know. I'm too busy doing this, and I'm thinking, there's what I've got done so far. Just the middle part of the butterfly. My husband requested a cornbread crust instead, or not really cornbread. He just said he wanted a thin crust. Well, biscuit dough tends to get too thick. He didn't want that. So I told him I would do cornbread. So I just basically made cornbread, just the basic batter for cornbread. I didn't even use recipes because I know the basics. I've cooked for so long. So I put everything in the bowl, left it sitting to the side. Then I boiled some chicken breast. And then the water from the chicken breast, after I had taken them out, they were cooked. I put in all my vegetables for it and boiled those, including some hash brown potatoes out of the freezer that I'd forgotten about. They need to be used up. So I boiled all that. While that was boiling, I diced up the chicken, opened some cream of chicken, mixed all that together, and then drained the vegetables. I meant to save the broth, but I forgot it. I was bummed. And then I took that, the vegetables, added all together, put that in the bottom of the casserole dish, and then took the cornbread batter, just drizzled it on top, a really thin layer. So it was only about that thick once it cooked. It was just a thin layer. And baked that. And I tell y'all, that was delicious. It had so much flavor. I had used a garlic and herb seasoning in the chicken and the vegetables, and plenty of salt. And my family, I'm telling you, they ate that stuff up. And I was so excited that they liked it as much as they did. Because sometimes I cook something and they just go, it's just okay. And then other times, like last night, they devoured it. So there was just a very little left. Then I made some peach cobbler, which I ended up, I thought this was too thick. I have 3 strands in this instead of, do I? No, it's right. Just feels too thick. This has, no, it's 4 strands. That's why it's too thick. That makes sense. It's supposed to be 2. I was like, why is this so thick? Okay. Y'all are getting the real me here. This is what I do. I stop my videos and I restart because I get to babbling and I just go incoherent. I'm like, oh wait, that's not what I was supposed to be talking about. So, anyway, let's see. No, I did have it right. I don't know why that felt so thick. Second guessing myself here. Anyway, for the peach cobbler, I used basically the cuppa recipe, but I added a little to it. It was big, so I did 2 cups of cornmeal, not in that, 2 cups of flour, which it was not self-rising, so I ended up adding baking powder and salt to it. 2 cups of milk and 2 cups of sugar. Then I added 2 eggs and mixed all that up together. And then I poured that into a casserole dish. I ended up filling up a 9 by 13 with it. And then I put my peaches. They were frozen peaches, like in a pureed peach sauce, kind of. And I just placed those all over the top and then baked it. They were delicious. And no, I didn't get any video of it. My kitchen was a madhouse with kids everywhere and stuff going on. And I didn't even try to record anything because it was just a crazy, crazy kitchen. But also, I didn't record because I was wanting to listen to the Alabama LSU game, which Alabama won. They creamed them. My best friend and I were texting, and finally, she said, "I just quit watching it." I feel bad for her a little, but I'm glad Alabama won. They did a good job playing. So then I came in here last night and I put away some of my clean clothes. I didn't get finished, but I put away some and started working on all of my pulling all the threads for these projects because I've got these, the breadcloths, and several other things that I have going on. So I pulled all the threads and the materials and got everything organized so that when I'm ready to stitch, I can just sit down and stitch and not have to be trying to figure out where everything is and all that. I like to make myself a kit. And in the comments, I was asked how to organize crafts. Now, I found one of my favorite things to do is to make myself a kit. If I've got a lot of different things going on at once, say like right now, with all of my stuff I've got, I make myself a kit. So for each project, I have a little bag. Or, for instance, a big bag with probably 10 different projects in this one. They're small projects. So I've got everything so that if I'm on the go, I can grab this, doctor's appointments. So if you crochet, for instance, Adventures in Backwoods Living said she crochets. If you have a doctor's appointment, get yourself a little bag like this, something that you can take to go. Put whatever in, well, probably bigger if you crochet, you might need a bigger bag for yarn. But get yourself something that you can put all of your supplies in. Make sure you have the, for instance, for crochet, your crochet hooks, pair of scissors or snippers. I like snippers. These were my grandmother's snippers. She passed away in 2018, and she cross-stitched. And this was something that I got from her, and it's a Gold Seal brand, and I absolutely love it. I've had my husband sharpen it, but that's my go-to for cutting threads. I prefer to snip it. Then I've when I go to appointments, I'll if I have to sit in the waiting room for a few minutes, like for instance, tomorrow I'll probably be taking both my boys to the doctor again because my older son's hacking this morning, like coughing really bad. And the cough stuff that they didn't give him cough medicine the other day. They just gave him the stuff for antibiotics and stuff. But he's coughing pretty bad. I did have him do a nebulizer treatment this morning, but I'll probably take him in just to make sure it's not turning into pneumonia or anything like that. So what I'm planning to do is... Oh, hi, Sarah. I just saw that you were on. I'm planning... what I do when I go to the doctor is I'll bring... For instance, if I were to bring something like this, since this is a bag and it has 2 zipper pockets, I would probably just bring this, and when I'm waiting in the waiting room, pull it out and stitch while I'm waiting. You would not believe how many times I get stopped by random strangers asking if they can see my work. For instance, oh my goodness, I have to share this story with y'all because it's so funny. Several weeks ago, a friend of mine's husband was in a tractor accident and had to be life flighted almost 2 hours away to a big hospital. When he was life flighted, their daughter-in-law called me and wanted me to go be with her. So I went to be with the wife, and I ended up driving her to the hospital to be with him because they had already, by the time we got to the local ER, they were actually already leaving with him to head to the big hospital. So we drove. Well, when we got there, um, I had not worked on the piano for a couple of weeks. I had taken a little break because I was just worn out. It had been a lot going on, and I was just worn out, so I had not been working on it. So I decided to go ahead and bring it with me so that I'd have something to do, because I figured long hours of waiting in a waiting room, I'd want to do something. Well, I pulled it out when it was just me and their son-in-law sitting in the waiting room, and I'd never met him before, so we had chatted a little bit, but then I decided to pull my cross stitch out and work on it. So all of a sudden, as I'm working on it, this man comes out of nowhere and he says, "May I look at that?" I said, "Sure." So he came over and I showed him what I was doing, and I showed him what it was going to be, and we had a long discussion. He said that his mom had always cross-stitched when he was a kid, and he always loved watching her, and nice man. But that turned into him coming over every few minutes and sharing some life story. He had 6 siblings, and he was telling me about that, which is cool. He had assisted a birth at one point. He had to tell me all about that. It was so random. And my friend's son-in-law was over there just about to die laughing, and so was I. It was hilarious. It was like, okay, we didn't ask for all this information, but thank you. So he stuck around, and he kept coming back over. He really enjoyed the banter. Once more of the family had gotten there, we were all sitting around talking, and he kept coming in and interjecting himself, which was rather humorous. Anyway, but I have had times where I was at the doctor's office. Well, this last week, for instance, the doctor came in, saw what I was doing, and said, "Oh, I used to cross stitch when I was younger." Her family went on long trips, and she would bring cross stitch into it. So it's such a lost art. There's not that. I mean, a lot of people do it, but it's not super common anymore. Hand stitching in general is not something that's super common. And part of my reasoning for doing it now and doing as much as I'm doing is because I know eyesight changes as you get older. And my husband's already experiencing it. He's 45 and he's having to wear glasses more. So I've been told many times that I'm going to want to make sure that I do the things now so that later I don't regret not having done the projects because I can't see. So I'm doing it, and I'm glad I am. I don't regret a minute of the time I spend stitching. It's very special to me. So, alright, I'm fixing to show this to y'all, show you the progress that I've made, and then I will turn this off, and I may just have to go live if I can't figure out the space thing on my phone, because I was trying to do some stuff yesterday, and I ended up having to delete a bunch of stuff, which was fine. It's just, I don't know. I've got to figure out what I need to do now. Apparently, the videos that I've saved on my phone are for YouTube are stored in the memory of it, and that's causing a problem. So I don't know. I will figure all that out. So let me finish this little section right here, and I'll show y'all the butterfly is coming together. And I'm going to work on this and finish it up here in just a little bit. Thankfully, this is a really quick project, but I promised her this months ago. And when she saw me pulling the stuff for it, she said, Mom, I had forgotten all about that. I said, I know, but I didn't. So, all right. Let me get this secure, and I'll show y'all. Just take me a second. Okay. All right, there it comes. That's the center of the butterfly. And the colors for this project, I'm going to pull this up to show y'all. These are the basic colors for the project. And they all, I can't do that. They all match the bag. And those the colors that were already in it. So it's kind of cool that it coordinates very well. So, all right, I'm going to get off here. Hope y'all have a lovely Sunday. We will be watching the live stream for our church in a little while. I told the boys they could go hang out for a little bit in there and play a game. Then we'll watch the live stream. And I've got to bake a casserole to take up there after a while, but I can leave them here long enough. Thankfully, my older boy is old enough to kind of monitor for 5 minutes while I run up the road. But I'm going to go bake a casserole to take up to the church. We're feeding the little kids. I think I mentioned that yesterday. So I'm going to make an enchilada casserole and take that. And then we're going to just be here. And I'll probably put away more stuff in my room. I'm still trying to figure out the organization of things. We have a very small space. In fact, we have the smallest bedroom in the house. And it's crowded. Someday, when kids are grown and gone, I might be able to take one of the bedrooms as a craft bedroom. But then we have 5 kids, and they're going to grow, and they're going to have families of their own someday. So I don't know. We've talked about moving. We've looked at houses, but this house is paid off, and although it's small, it's home. So I'm trying to make the best of what I got. All right, I'm going to get off here, and I hope y'all have a wonderful, wonderful Sunday.